Site preparation for tree planting. Troy, is it okay if I just go out and plant trees without doing anything to the site? Because I like doing that.
Well, I suppose you could do that, but it's going to make it really hard to maintain those trees.
I think the first thing folks and myself need to think about is what exactly is on the site to begin with, right? Because you're potentially have some highly competitive vegetation out there. You really need to know your enemy before you can develop an attack plan. Pretty good at IDing these. So here I'm just checking things out. This is a woody. This is actually a mulberry, a white mulberry. But I really want to know what I've got right off the bat. Is it highly competitive? Is it not going to be a problem? These are big things that we need to think about before we start prepping the site for tree planting. A lot of times we start off with a pasture or an idle area. And again, going back to ID, you need to know what kind of vegetation is here. So Troy, what are your thoughts on something like this?
If you're starting off on an old pasture ground that's got grass, you really don't need to spray the entire piece of property that you're going to put trees on. You really only need to focus on the vegetation that's going to be directly adjacent to the trees. So this type of a spray setup would be used if you're trying to kill off the vegetation on an entire site. If you're on maybe some pasture that hasn't been taken care of for 20 or 30 years and you've got a whole bunch of invasive species, bushes and stuff coming in, you may want to take a small boom sprayer out there and just kill everything that's on the site, because it might be easier to start from scratch than to try and rejuvenate and remove some of the non-desirable stuff. As compared to if you're planting into a established grassy area, you may want to use a much smaller machine or only kills a small band down the tree row.
We don't have to do the whole thing, right?
If there's not too much vegetation to hinder the planting, I'd say go ahead and plant your trees. And you can come back with a small sprayer that's spraying a band, or you can go out with a backpack sprayer and spray a band down your row and just control the vegetation on a 2-foot wide swath down the center of your tree rows.
And obviously in the dormant season.
You definitely want to spray in the dormant season after they've dropped their leaves, or early in the spring before they've leafed out.
So this is another situation I run into a lot, and folks run into a lot. It's an old ag field, which is almost ideal for planting trees because you got the soil prepped, you've got minimal vegetation, but there's other things to think about, correct?
Sometimes you're going to have a lot of corn stover. Sometimes it'll be very compact, or maybe they've done tillage before you decided to convert it to a tree planting. After you've cultivated a site that had excessive amounts of corn stover or was recently plowed, you should end up with a site that looks like this.
Look at that. That's a good site prep right there. You want that really fine soil because it's going to nicely fall in around the root system. So site prep, whether you're in a pasture or in an ag field, think about the present vegetation and the condition of the soil. Site prep, it's critical. We'll see you in your future woods.